didn't start it 1 second early. Okay, good evening, everyone. I'd like to call this month's meeting of the Board of Education to order. I'd like to also thank all of you who are sitting in the gallery this evening joining us. We have a full slate ahead, so I'm going to get started and ask Miss Anna Barrett Smith if she'll lead us off with a pledge and a moment of silence.
Please join me in the pledge. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
As we go into our moment of silence, I'd like to, for us all to remember the family and friends of Caleb Plotsky in the community that is currently navigating the tragedy of last week. Please join me in a moment of silence. Thank you.
Okay, we'll move along. Are there any adjustments to the agenda? Hearing none, is there a motion that we accept the agenda as presented?
Moved.
It's been moved by Caroline.
Second.
Seconded by Anna Barrett. All in favor of approving the agenda as presented, please raise your right hand. All opposed, like sign. Okay, the motion passes unanimously. Next, I'd like to ask Jennifer Johnson to come up and share some good news with us.
Good evening, board members. Good evening, public. Thank you everyone for coming. Just want to start out with some great news of things that are happening in Pitt County Schools. First of all, we have some state champions in the house. Super exciting. The first state champion that we're going to recognize is from South Central High School, George Aino. Did I say that correctly? Aino, thank you. George Aino for the 4A state championship in wrestling. So if George and his coach, Coach Harrell, Ron Butler, will come forward, we'll recognize him.
Hey, good evening. George, come on in. His coach is on his way, so I'm going to talk about him, but first, if his coach comes up, we'll let him speak. I like heavyweights, obviously. So I've been watching George, and this year was really interesting. About halfway through the season, George has always won a lot because you can look at him and tell he's a physical specimen. You know what I mean? And he won a lot with that, but sometime about halfway through the year, it clicked, and he became a different wrestler. And it was so exciting in the state tournament. I'm following him live, on the phone, and when he made the finals, and I can't wait. And it was just so exciting. But what makes this even more special for George is it rounds out where now every one of our high schools has won a state championship in wrestling, because George is the first person to win a wrestling state championship for South Central High School. George, you'd like to say a few things? He had a heck of a match in the finals. He had a really tough one in the quarters. That was like a 1-0, and then he pinned his last two guys. Actually got a pin in the finals, which is something you don't see a lot of. So, George, congratulations, and heck of a season.
George, I get the pleasure of presenting you with a certificate. First of all, do you have like a signature move, or is that just in wrestling that you see on TV?
I usually do like a blast double, if you know what that is. Probably don't.
I don't. I'm not going to ask you to show me.
You volunteer, Betsy.
Now, his blast double. See, George has no idea I know as much about him. He didn't shoot at all until about halfway in the year. All of a sudden, he started doing this one move and started using it extremely well. And it worked out extremely well for him.
And what is it called? The
Blast double.
Blaz double. Impressive. Well, George, we are very, very proud of you here in Pitt County Schools. We're lucky to have you. Congratulations on your state championship. I'm going to present you this certificate that says that we proudly recognize you for creating excellence in the East, and give you this medallion to go along with that as well. So thank you so much for all your hard work.
And if anyone from George Aino's family would like to come down, we'd like to take a picture of anybody that is not ready yet. We have to get the important people in the picture.
Oh, coming behind you.
Do you want to squeeze in here next to me?
We're just getting there. Here, take your purse.
Thank you, and please give George one more round.
Oh. I will be hit with a glass double.
I like to see that.
And those are not our only state champions. We also have two state champion swimmers from J.H. Rose High School. So if Coach Pierce and Mr. Butler, if you could stay as well, come on in and let's recognize our state champion swimmers.
Thank you for inviting us this evening. I'm not the state champion swimmer by any means. But I am here to announce them. Two wonderful swimmers from J.H. Rose High School, Miss Madeline Smith, Miss Emma Hastings, both state champions this year. Madeline has the distinct pleasure of being a double state champion this year, as well as the most outstanding swimmer for the 3A state. And Emma has the distinct honor of being the 500 free state champion, as well as, unfortunately, the runner-up to Madeline in one of the other events. Both of them are very talented individuals. Both of them are NISCA All-Americans. That takes both academics and their athletics into question, and they have worked very hard to get this far, and yet they are only sophomores, so we can hope a lot for their future. Madeline, this is his second time coming here. Hopefully there will be at least two more.
So, those of you who've come here a lot might know that typically whoever the board member that represents the school in the geographic area of the district presents the award. And in this case, that would be Tracy, but anybody who knows me knows I love some swimming. And so Tracy was kind enough to text me and ask if I wanted to get these awards. I've known these girls forever. You guys got to hear me, talk about Madeline last year. They are extraordinary, extraordinary girls. And I don't know that anybody really realizes what kind of work goes into this. They're probably in the water 20-some hours a week, usually before school, after school. They do dry land. I mean, their commitment is insane. And so we are so proud of you guys. I also would be remiss if I did not mention their moms. Miss Mary Beth Hastings and Miss Roseanne Laura. Okay, you guys, these women are hardcore. I mean, these kids put in a lot of time, but if we have a swim meet, these two are up at 5 a.m., sometimes even before 5 a.m., so that they can always be on the front row watching their kids. And I, at the state championship, kind of said, all right, I'm going to go Mary Beth and Roseanne with them. And that'll probably be the last time I do that. But, behind every great athlete and great student are generally great parents. And so I have the privilege of calling them friends as well. So I will give Madeline her certificate, your second one, and your medallion. And we just thank you for the way you represent yourself in the classroom and in the pool. We really do, but they're extraordinary. And Miss Emma, and I have to say about Emma, so her race, you should know that she won the 500 freestyle. It's 20 laps of freestyle. Wow. That's a lot of freestyle. Yeah. And Madeline's races that she won are sort of a cross between a sprint and a distance, so they're especially challenging because you have to pace and all that. So we appreciate you guys and we're proud of you. Thank you.
Picture, but we would love to have moms.
We'll bring back next month.
And the other family join us as well.
Mary's got his present.
Camera shot.
There you go.
We do have recognition for a bus driver who was not able to make it tonight, so we will recognize him next time. But we do have some amazing bus drivers. This particular bus driver helped to save lives in his duties as a bus driver. So we look forward to hearing from Mr. Andre Irvin next week or next month from Stokes. It is National Social Workers Week as well, and so we want to recognize our social workers. And I'll turn the floor over to Ms. Karen Harrington and her group of social workers that are here to represent today. Hello, come on in.
Okay, so I'm excited. Oh, look at that, school social worker and Dr. Seuss Week all in one, Ms. Smallwood. All right, that's great. So I'm really excited to welcome and honor some of our school social workers. Not everyone could be here just due to other obligations and family things, but March is Social Work Month, but this week is School Social Worker Week. And the theme of this year's celebration is Beacon of Hope, Lighting the Way. And so now I'm going to be able to do this. I'm not going to look at Tammy. Sorry, it's just been an emotional couple of weeks and spent a lot of time with these ladies. And so I'm not going to look at Tammy. But I've worked with school social workers my entire career. As a school psychologist, some of the ladies and I have traveled from office to office. I didn't get to move with them to Moy, but we have been through a lot. And I always worked with school social workers as a student services person, as a psychologist. And I knew what they did. They're our connection to home, school, and community. They help us meet students' basic needs, anything from these ladies. I started to think about the holidays, but I went back to, but even before that, they help with registration, back to school, holidays. They get really busy. You see them out in the media. They help us with immunizations, just so many of the topics that we're talking about tonight. These ladies, and we have all ladies currently, are behind the scenes working with families and just coordinating support. And, you know, for us, those basic needs are the foundation of being able to meet our educational goals. And so I've always known what they've done, what they do, but just to see how much they go above and beyond, you think maybe their hours are 8 to 4, you know, just similar hours, but no. These ladies are talking to me recently about, well, before I got to work today, my school cell phone was ringing at 6 o'clock or 6:30. In the midst of a crisis situation last week, families were, you know, looking for the school social worker to help them with some of their basic needs. And certainly, I would be remiss without saying that, you know, when we do have a crisis like we've been facing over the last week, that these are the first ladies that I call, along with our psychologists and our counselors and our nurses. And so this week, that just is reiterated even more. But just to see them go into and just love on our students as they do and their families on a daily basis has just been remarkable. And so the timing maybe couldn't have been better to honor these ladies. And so I'm just so proud of them and the work they do, and I hope that if you don't know what a school social worker does, you'll find out some more about just all the many services that they could help offer and connect with our families. So ladies, thank you. Stay there so we can get a picture. No, I'm gonna let them.
All right, everybody would look this way and smile. We'll get this right to the back one. Perfect. Thank you. Give these ladies.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Kassan.
Glad we have a packed house to be able to recognize those wonderful people. We also have some awards that Pitt County Schools was recognized for school public relations, and that is how we communicate with the public. So recently, January 31st, the NCSPRA, or North Carolina School Public Relations Association, recognized 36 school districts. Pitt County Schools was one of those. They handed out 258 awards, and Pitt County Schools received 7 of those gold and silver awards. Those awards are right here for how we communicate to the public the good things that we are doing for our students in Pitt County Schools. And so some of those examples were the gold awards. Well, first of all, the Blue Ribbon Award is the highest award a school district can receive for North Carolina School Public Relations, and they're presented in 8 categories, and they're a gold, a silver, and a bronze. Pitt County Schools won 4 gold and 3 silver, and they also are judged by a whole different state. So the state of Georgia judges these awards, their school public relations, so that they're really judging what's happening here. One thing is the award ceremony also includes a special award honoring none other but Barry Gaskins. So if you remember, Barry Gaskins was one of our public information officers, and he was awarded the very first Barry Gaskins Award posthumously in 2004. And he's really known for not just his work here in Pitt County, but also his work nationally and on the state level for public relations. So that was quite an honor to be able to witness the person that received that award. But today, we wanted just to let you know that for the gold awards, those were for early college promotion. And so our early colleges and getting the word out, that video was awarded that. Also, Grow Local, the thank you video. We'll talk a little bit more about Grow Local later. But the thank you video that the students actually participated in, thanking the businesses, was another award. One photograph was given the gold award for capturing a student actually on the set of WITN. And she was just very excited to be able to be on set where she wanted to be eventually as a journalist. Special events were also recognized for the Spanish Heritage Month that Belvoir puts on. And then our School Spotlight, our PCS, hashtags PCS School Spotlight, this whole social media campaign where videos we put out every week really highlighting what Pitt County Schools is doing. And if anybody wants to see any of those videos, we've done one a week and really featured a school a week, and that is hashtag PCS School Spotlight, where you can view those. The final one was for Inspire Magazine. And so we really wanted to give some special recognition tonight for 3 people, 2 of which are not able to be here. They're covering other things, but we do have one other person here. So if you know Zach Pomeroy, he is a videographer, and he is responsible really for about 4 out of the 7 of these awards, or his work is featured in that. So the contributions are really from an entire team, and what these schools, and some of our principals are in the audience tonight, what the schools are really doing, and we just get the joy of coming and highlighting those. And then the second person is Angela Harn, and then the staff of APG, which is the Adams Publishing Group, and Daily Reflector. So we really wanted to recognize them because they put on the entire Inspire magazine for us. If you didn't know that, our Inspire magazine, which we have plenty of copies if anybody wants one, but our Inspire magazine really highlights every single school, and this did win a silver award this year. So I would like to recognize Amber Revelstocks, if you could come and really be a recipient of we're actually going to give you our Inspire Award for let's see, where did it go? Hold on, here it is, for Inspire Magazine, for you and your staff. These ladies take our stories that we want to give them, they interview, they highlight them, they take the pictures, they create it, and then they get it over to Daily Reflector, who prints 5,000 copies of these for us. So we really think that you deserve to keep that in your Lots of good news. Thank you, ladies.
Thank you, Jennifer. The next item on our agenda is public expression, and we have 2 people who have signed up for public expression this evening. So first off, I would like to call up, welcome back, Miss Gwendolyn Green. If you would like to come to the podium. I know you were here last month.
Yes, I was.
And
I
we
told you I'd come back. To the chair and to all the members of the board, I thank you again for giving me this opportunity to speak. As I did the last time, I spoke of the need for equity and inclusion, that there might be an outcome to the situation at South Central that would more fairly reflect the responsibility and accountability of that particular incident. Tonight, I returned disappointed by your decision, and I wanted the board to know that. I strongly recommend to this board that you take into serious consideration the words that I spoke to you the last time, which were equity and inclusion. I believe that for a number of people in this community, there is a reflection here that doesn't really reflect them. And so I'm here tonight to say that really I begin to wonder what kind of lens has been used in the past when we've talked about things like the disproportionate number of African American students who've either been disciplined or expelled. As I read through some reports on the state of education, disproportionality was defined as the overrepresentation or underrepresentation of a group of students in a particular program relative to their number in the total. For example, disproportionate number of Hispanic students are assigned to special education. I believe that disproportionality was found in the rate of suspensions and expulsions in Pitt County. It was found through the Department of Education's investigation that an African American student was 2.5 times more likely to be suspended or expelled than a white student. Another key area in this conversation about disproportionate number of African American students is the number of students who don't graduate as part of their 4-year cohort. I believe that our white students in Pitt County in 2018-2019 graduated at a rate of 88%, while our African American students graduated at 79%. I stand here tonight to say perhaps this board should seriously consider the use of equity and inclusion as a driver and a foundation to ensuring that these numbers improve, that there are far fewer African American students who fail to graduate with their cohort. I believe that for those students, it would be especially important to them that this board take into consideration the emphasis that needs to be put on equity and inclusion in Pitt County. Thank you again for the opportunity to speak. I believe my time's almost up. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Green. And next up is Ms. Norma Warren, who would like to speak with us about the transfer policy. And since you weren't here last month, I'll just remind you that you do, I guess you're speaking on behalf of an organization, which I'll allow you to introduce. So you have 5 minutes. And just a reminder that the board will not address you, and you will address the board as a whole, and you have 5 minutes.
That is perfect. Thank you. Good evening. My name is Norma Warren. I'm a resident of Winterville, where according to the Pitt County Schools website, my home is located in District 4 and District 5. Board members Betsy Flanagan and Anna Barrett Smith. I am one of your constituents, and it is nice indeed to meet you. On this evening, I am here representing the National Panhellenic Council of Pitt County. The NPHC of Pitt County is comprised of 8 historically African-American international Greek-lettered fraternities and sororities. All of our members are highly educated, productive members of society and contribute to the overall wealth of Pitt County. Our common goal is to unite in an effort to consider problems of mutual interest to our member organizations. Tonight, our common interest is the plight of all children in Pitt County schools. In light of what Ms. Flanagan so eloquently referred to as, quote, inaccurate and outright false information that is being shared on social media and even in the news regarding consequences that were imposed on the South Central men's basketball team by the North Carolina High School Athletic Association, the NPHC of Pitt County would like to present the board with the following questions. What criteria does the board use to determine which anonymous reports are investigated and which ones are ignored? Is there a specific form used to make the anonymous complaint? And if so, is that form out for public use? Where can we find it? Are these written reports made privy to the schools involved and the respective personnel? How can the public get a copy of the complaints made against South Central High School and any other school? What criteria do you use to determine when you waive the 365 rule? And how many times has the 365 rule been waived? Can you provide this community with the statistics surrounding all requests in the past 10 years? Your rubric should include, but not be conclusive to the following: the schools involved, the gender of the child, the ethnicity of the child, and if the child is an athlete. We all are very much aware of what the North Carolina High School Athletic Association, Chapter 1, Section 211 transfer policy dictates. It is something that is made privy to everyone who actually will research it. But I think it's also important that when we start talking about that policy, we also note that that policy states that LEA, the local education agency, can create criteria for immediate athletic eligibility for transfers within the LEA. It also states in Section 1-210, determination of what constitutes a bona fide or authentic and true change of residence depends upon the facts of each case. So although some have attempted to outline the North Carolina High School Athletic Association's list of considerations for a bona fide change of address, it has been neglected to state the consideration is contingent upon the facts involved, and the Board of Education can create criteria for immediate athletic eligibility. I would think that if purchasing a home is not a legitimate bona fide move, please define for us what is considered a bona fide move for Pitt County Schools. Can you provide this community with evidence indicating every application for a waiver received consistent treatment? Every waiver that's presented in front of you, an application presented in front of you, has been treated the exact same way. In closing, Ms. Flanagan, Ms. Fagundes, Ms. Everett Lenz, Ms. Cole, Ms. Blunt-Williams, Ms. Smith, Mr. Forbes, Ms. Doherty, and Mr. Forrest, the NPHC of Pitt County is proud of this community and hold education in the highest regard. Many of our members are educators and understand the gray area in which many of you operate. We respect the positions of all of the Board of Education and don't doubt you're doing the best you can. But we do doubt the degree of consistent consideration provided by this board, and once again, ask you to provide statistics to prove otherwise. The NPHC of Pitt County is not here to perpetuate any, quote, inaccurate information, nor selectively quote any of the North Carolina High School Athletic Association policy, but we are here to say that we care about all children. And we will begin to stand in front of you until all children are consistently treated fairly. Thank you for your attention. We look forward to your reply.
Thank you, Ms. Warren. I think that is the end of our public expression. So the next item on our agenda is the consent agenda. Do I hear a motion to approve the consent agenda items?
Motion to approve.
I have a motion to approve by Worth and a second by Ms. Williams. All in favor? Well, first of all, is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of approving the consent agenda, please raise your right hand. Okay, that motion passes unanimously. Next, under new business, we have the first reading of policy 4150, a student assignment. So at this time, I would like to recognize the chair of the policy committee and my vice chair, Ms. Fagundes, who will introduce an amendment to policy 4150.
Thank you, Madam Chair. At the request of Mr. Forbes, the policy committee met last Thursday, and we discussed potential changes to policy 4150 regarding the 365-day sit-out rule. And for tonight's meeting, I would like to ask Mr. Forbes to brief the board on the changes that this committee came up with for policy 4150 for our first reading tonight.
And policy 4150, we're not changing everything. We're just making a few tweaks in regards to it. The same rules apply in regards to the larger schools. But what we were going to look at was, and originally the discussion was leading us to, we were going to amend the rules so that it applied to students who were enrolling in the ninth grade. So ninth graders coming in, they were going to have to wait, stay out 365 days. And then we also was going to state, based on the North Carolina High School Athletic Association in our policy, what a bona fide move happens to be. And we were going to eliminate the exception to the 365-day sit-out rule for transfers to Ayden-Grifton, Farmville Central, and North Pitt. And the reason for making that is because we had our January work session. We had 2 athletic directors here. We also got input from some of our other athletic directors. We got feedback from Farmville Central, Ayden-Grifton, and North Pitt. The reason why we were looking at the proposal in regards to open enrollment is we wanted to, number one, make sure that we were emphasizing that open enrollment was primary for academics, the academic aspect of it, to give those smaller high schools the ability to offer some courses by them having more students coming in, because a lot of times you will have a course that will not make by 2 or 3 students. And as tight as the budget is, a lot of times you can't offer that course. But with open enrollment, we have students coming in and we are able to form classes or a course that we normally wouldn't be able to. That was the original intent of open enrollment. And one other thing that we also looked at our committee was tightening up. Once a student has applied for open enrollment and they are accepted in that particular school, that they really have to stay there in regards to that. Because if the student leaves, then that class really has not made, if you have 2 or 3 students to leave. And a class can make by just 1 student. So we had to emphasize that in regards to the academics aspect of it. And so what we talked about in our policy meeting, and we brought up all of these ideas. The one item that we did discuss, and we felt like that because we got some feedback from parents, we got feedback from different ones in regards to amending that rule as it applied to enrolling students who enrolled in the 9th grade. Because we may have a student that has applied for open enrollment at Ayden Middle. And then if we had kept what we had originally talked about, they would not be eligible to play when they entered Ayden-Grifton High School. If they had applied at Ayden Middle, they were in the 8th grade, they were getting ready to go to the high school, the 9th grade, our original proposal would not have allowed that student to play. But the way we have tweaked it and changed it, we are now allowing the open enrollment. For example, if a child is already in open enrollment, or any incoming 9th grader will be able to participate in sports. So this takes into account that we have students who are already in the feeder schools due to open enrollment. It also takes into account homeschool students who come in. It takes into account private school, because we're trying to get as many private school and homeschool students in our schools as possible. That also takes into account that when they come back and they enter the 9th grade, they would be able to participate in athletics also. So after all that consideration, the committee, what we're doing, we're recommending the proposed amendment to the rule that only clarifies the board's definition, number 1, of a bona fide move. We're adding that into that policy. And it eliminates the exception to the 365-day sit-out rule for transfers to Ayden, Grifton, Farmville Central, and North Pitt High Schools. And also, it affects those schools. For example, if you apply for open enrollment at Ayden-Grifton High School, then all of a sudden you want to go to Farmville Central or go to North Pitt, that student would have to stay out 365 days. The transfers between schools. So students elected to enroll in an open enrollment school in ninth grade will not be subject to the 365-day sit-out rule. That's a key for us to look at. And another thing that we discussed in our policy meeting is looking at these smaller high schools to try to get programs in those smaller high schools that would be specific to North Pitt, that would be specific to Ayden-Grifton or Farmer Central, different programs to where that we could try to increase the enrollment in some of our smaller high schools. And I think that in talking with our athletic directors, all of our athletic directors seem to be on board. They're the ones that are right out there within the midst of all of it. And again, we're reverting back to the original intent of having open enrollment schools. And that is primarily to be on academics. And then we also understand that students need to participate, be able to participate in athletics, because that's part of being a team and a team player within the school. And I think, we got some feedback and a few parents in regards to, okay, I am in a middle school and I would like to go to the high school in that feeder school. You mean my kid would have to sit out 365 days? Our original motion or intent was yes, but getting feedback, plus all of us putting our opinions in on the policy committee, we eliminated that. Okay, so for purposes of tonight's meeting, at the recommendation of the policy committee, I move to introduce for first reading an amendment to policy 4150 to clarify the board's definition of a bona fide move, eliminate the exception to the 365-day sit-out rule for transfers to Ayden-Grifton, Farmville Central, and North Pitt High Schools. And one other thing that I would like to mention, we also stressed to Dr. Linker that once if this is approved tonight or for first reading, that any student that is applying for open enrollment now, that they get a copy of the proposal and that there's a signature that's put with that, so that everybody would know exactly what we're doing.
Okay, very good. So since this recommendation comes to us from the policy committee, there's no need for a second. Mr. Forbes, when will the proposed amendment come for a second reading?
At our next meeting, April 6th.
Okay. So at this time, Mr. Forbes has made a motion to introduce for first reading an amendment to policy 4150 to clarify the board's definition of a bona fide move and eliminate the exception to the 365-day sit-out rule for transfers to Ayden-Grifton, Farmville Central, and North Pitt High Schools. Does any board member have any questions about the proposed amendment?
I do, Madam Chair. Just for clarity, the 365-day rule does not apply at ninth grade for any school. Okay, my concern is, say for instance, I have a kid that's leaving Bethel. Okay? They don't want to go to North Pitt. They want to go to Rose or South Central at ninth grade open enrollment. That child gets to go to that open enrollment school, regardless of leaving a smaller community in a smaller school. Okay. Clarity for the bona fide move. As policy committee, we want to make sure that all of those things are covered. You know, whether it be from a having proper information that's gonna go to the transfer committee, that's gonna not be accepted by K.
Correct.
So in the transfer committee, we must be diligent in what we state and put
Right.
down for that bona fide move.
Correct.
Okay. All of that will be given to any student at 8th grade entering high school in Pitt County.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? But it will not eliminate our kids, my kids, for instance, taking courses. If we don't offer it at North Pitt,
Oh, no.
No, right.
No.
okay, all right. They can still have that option to go even if it's for one class or two classes. Okay. I just wanted some clarity on that.
And with the bona fide move, we are basically listing in our policy, based on the North Carolina High School Athletic Association, what that bona fide move is.
And we can put in our own because we as a board
Correct.
can put in some limits.
Yes.
Some limits and some additives if need be. To
Right.
help us through this process. To
Correct.
help, especially the transfer committee.
Right. And can I make one other statement? It's like if a student applies to North Pitt for open enrollment, and they get over there and they're from a smaller school or whatever, and they go to North Pitt, but they get, in the first 6 weeks, they say, I don't want to stay here, I want to go back.
That can't
Original-
happen.
And plus, if it is approved, they have to stay out 365 days.
That's right,
Play
if they're
athletic.
playing athletic.
Right.
Right.
If it's for academics,
That,
we need to state that out.
and that's what we talked about, that it really needs to be a stickler that you stay.
Okay.
Just to piggyback onto that, so they would still have the same opportunities that any student who's attempting to go to a school through open enrollment, they have the same process available to them to go to a transfer
Yes.
committee
Right.
and do all that. So we're not changing the process. If they get to a school and for whatever reason it's not a good fit, they just need to know going in that
When they go
if that's
back.
not a good fit and you choose to leave, you'll have to go through a transfer committee and you would have to sit out 365 days.
Correct.
And may I make a suggestion? For all of our middle schools, during open house,
It needs
that they discuss
Discuss
this.
this.
Or either we have it already typed and drawn up to be given to parents.
Right.
You know, so that, it'll alleviate some of the stress that the child is going through and then the parents can help with.
And plus, what we said is when they're approved and they're given their packet, the parent will have their signature with our policy.
Yes.
This policy on it, stating those, the changes that we have made. So not like we give it to them and say, okay.
That's right.
We have a signature.
Okay.
Any other questions or discussion related? No? Okay. Let's see. Yeah, so Mr. Forbes has made the motion. I think there's no more discussion or questions on the part of any of our board. So he has made the motion to introduce this for first reading, the amendment to policy 4150 to clarify the board's definition of a bona fide move and eliminate the exception to the 365 sit-out day rule for transfers to Aden-Grifton, Farmville Central, and North Pitt. I just want to repeat that so we're all very clear. All those in favor of the motion, please raise your right hand. All opposed, like sign. The motion passes unanimously.
The second reading is April meeting.
6th, April 6th. Okay, and then I think the next item on our agenda in new business is Jennifer Johnson. She's going to come and share some of the items that were rescheduled from our February 17th board work session.
a little bit of patience here. Thank you while we're getting technology going.
Right down here on the B. What are you starting with?
Which one do you want? Just are you ready first?
No. Is that it?
That's fine.
Okay.
And if Karen Harrington could join me. Thank you. We're going to do that one first. Thank you.
Here's the clicker.
Thank you.
I think it was clear.
So we wanted to present today to you about our immunization campaign that's going to happen. So Karen's going to talk about from the student services point of view, and then I'm going to talk about from the communications point of view, a community effort to really get the word out about preparation for immunizations and health assessments and why it's super important, especially now as parents who are getting ready for school really need to begin making appointments for their doctors, et cetera. So I'm going to turn it over to Karen in the very beginning, and then I'll pick up at the end.
So we have begun working collaboratively with the Pitt County Health Department, our partners at Vidant, Interfaith Clergy, and other community organizations. Last October, when there was some concern about students not meeting their immunization requirements and the number of students that were in need of those immunizations, and some of the offices in town did not have any immunizations. And so we have been collaborating with those partners, and particularly the health department, in launching this campaign so that we're all saying the same message. And so it's a three-pronged message: prepare, partner, and protect. And the biggest thing is for all of us to come together and look at the barriers for getting adequate children's health care and access to education. And so partnering together, we're hoping that we will eliminate some of those barriers in the fall or throughout coming years. So with preparing, we looked at what are the barriers, the access to care, particularly with this. One of the issues is that children often that were falling under those, were in need of the immunizations, were not getting adequate well-child checkups, and therefore not up to date on their immunizations. And so, in learning from my partners at Vidant, with the school nurse program and the health department, they just shared that, when kids get yearly annual checkups, then you're up to date on your immunizations. But unfortunately, sometimes there are barriers to accessing that, transportation and other things, and so we're trying to eliminate those barriers. We wanted to have the same message coming from all organizations, and that this year one of the issues is that one of the local pediatricians' offices were saying kids could return to school if they'd had an appointment, and that is contrary to the law. And so we just wanted to make sure that we're educating parents in plenty of time, and it really starts now. It's important for parents to make sure they're scheduling those checkups now so that they can get up to date on immunizations and vaccinations. And so really it's partnering with our community agencies. Again, Interfaith Clergy helped us set up this initial meeting, and really making sure that we're getting this out to parents in a timely manner. So we'll work with Parents for Public Schools, with the Public Information Office here, but also at the Health Department, and getting that message out. And then really it's about protection. And you'll see at the end of this, we're thinking about, there's so much currently in the media about making sure you're protecting yourselves with health. And so this is just how we keep our students and our community safe. And Dr. Hardy brought up at our last meeting last week, an important point is that most of us, particularly our parents today, have no idea what it's like to experience polio or to be faced with measles or mumps, because we have all been properly immunized for many, many years, and we've not seen, most of our parents today have never seen those types of things hit our community. And so it's just really important for our students to get those immunizations. And then also we just reiterated with our partners that this is a state law. that we are just following state law in terms of both immunizations and the health assessments, and that students must have those up-to-date records and immunizations completed in order to remain in school from 30 days upon their enrollment. So that typically does hit us around that October time, 30 days after school starts. But like, for instance, the school nurse that was there had a student come in from California in January, and they were nearing that 30-day timeline of not having all of the current immunizations that we require. Luckily, she emailed me the next day and said that family was able to access the care, and there was no need for a suspension, but the student was nearing that deadline. And so overall, the immunization requirements stay the same except for where you see the red arrow at the end. There is a new requirement, and it's important that we get this out to our upcoming seniors. So our rising seniors have to have an updated meningitis booster. And I say meningitis because I might get up that other word and not say that correctly. So we want to make sure that we're getting the word out, not just to our kindergarten students, but our 7th grade students. So again, those 6th graders rising up to 7th grade have to get updated booster. And then now new for this upcoming year is those juniors rising to be seniors will have to have a new booster. Again, health assessments are also required by the law for our entering kindergarten students. One of the other things that the health department wanted to stress is, though they can provide these immunizations and even the health assessment required, it's much better if a family is seeing a regular medical provider so that they're catching developmental concerns and other things and really following good health care. And so that's just a copy of the health assessment. Again, we started kindergarten registrations today, and so we'll make sure that this information gets out. And then I'm going to turn that part over to Jennifer.
Sure. So the first thing that the committee that started this with Interfaith and Vidant and others really tasked us with is we need a common message. And like our interfaith clergy said, we'd love to put something in a church bulletin. Others said we'd love to post this at our businesses. Health department said, can we make our message unique and clear and the same so we're all saying the same thing? So our communications offices with the Department of Public Health in Pitt County and our office really came up with a theme of preparing for school. And again, that does start now. It doesn't start in the beginning of August when we just have the 30-day. So we really want to start talking about this now. We also know as educators that repetition, exposure really is a way to get many things out there. And so we created a logo, Are You Ready, with all of those elements there, because we really are challenging parents to get their kids ready, not just for good health, but education and access to education as well. We do note that a medical suspension does come with noncompliance, and we do not want to suspend a child for any reason whatsoever. And so we want to make sure that we're giving information well ahead of time so that none of that happens. So then we crafted a message that was the same, that really highlighted, hey, when you're preparing and you're creating your checklist and you want to go to open house, or you want to check the school calendar, or you want to get school supplies, or you want to pack book bags, we also want you to add, for kindergartners and for 7th grade parents, and now for parents of rising seniors, you need to make an appointment with your health provider, or you need to access the health department and get a well checkup, and also get the immunizations that are needed, especially these new ones. So we had a photo shoot, and those are some of our students that represent. We have parents, they're responsible for getting ready as well. We as a school system are as well. And then some of our middle school, high school, and kindergarten students helped us with this campaign. So those are some of our students there. And so we have a flyer, you have that on your desk. That is, we have several flyers actually, but this is the general flyer for that the Pitt County Public Health will be putting out, as well as Pitt County Schools. There is a website there that's go.pittschools.org/ready or /are you ready. Either one will get you to that point that has all of the information, because we really want the three things to be reiterated. To get informed, that's what we're asking parents to do, is to please get informed. If you have a rising senior, you need to get informed about what the new immunization is and how to get it. Then we want them to add to their checklist, get checkups and immunizations. We really need, child health is super important for us, and access to education is also super important. And then finally, get to school. Again, we want to make sure you have access, full access to school, and that you miss 0 time for school. So we want to make sure that that's added to the list as well. We do have other flyers that particularly communicate just to those who need to know. For example, there wouldn't be a need to put an elementary flyer at our high schools, and so we created 3 different flyers as well with checklists, kind of like what you see here. Are you ready for kindergarten? Are you ready for 7th grade? And are you ready for 12th grade? Specifically targeting those audiences. We have passed along the kindergarten ones to our principals just today, as this was approved on Friday. Today, to add to their kindergarten assessments. We know that the kindergarten assessments are the kindergarten registration is starting this week and then goes throughout the month of March. And so we want to make sure we get this information in there. And some are even putting stickers on and saying, make sure you make an appointment now, so that we know that sometimes doctors' offices, unfortunately, have 3 or 4 month wait for some of these things. So that is some of the information that we'll also be putting on our website, also be creating postcards, inserts, anything that the public wants to use and can join us in getting this message out here is really what we did. And our intention, again, is the different outlets, social media, and adapting this one message to however it's needed. Okay? Want in there? And then there's coronavirus.
And then, again, our goal is to not ever have to issue a suspension for immunizations. We work, again, with those social workers that were here tonight. They will drive students and families and getting them, helping them get appointments. And so we want to eliminate that. We're hoping by doing the public media campaign and partnering with the community that we can get the message out to parents so that they understand that importance of getting those immunizations now. And then lastly, in the news, coronavirus update, and we spoke to our lead nurse, our school health manager, Dr. Felicia Mosley Williams, last week, and she and the other nurses are saying the same thing that we're hearing publicly, is that if we prepare for the flu, that will help us with the coronavirus, using good hygiene, reminding our students to wash their hands, to cover their mouth, etc. And so we have launched today information, just on our website through Ms. Johnson, just to share with families that, those are the precautions we need to take. We will monitor along with DPI, local health department, and others. But that's the message that we need to get out to our kids, is just having good standards. And here's our practices. Again, just teaching kids, we used to always cough in our hands, and last several years we started coughing in our sleeve, washing our hand. We're going to monitor the bulletins. Stay home from school, even though we're striving for 5. We don't want kids coming to school when they're sick. And then also just keeping staff informed. We work with Mr. Johnson's department to make sure that, we're just doing regular cleaning and precautions, particularly at a school that's been hit hard by the flu. Then we do extra cleaning. We remind parents to wash their book bags, all those extra things.
And it is important to note that we do have an influenza pandemic response. It's already a part of our district plan. And so if we have to activate that, or with any modifications that are recommended, we are prepared to do that. We already have a protocol in place if that becomes necessary. Just wanted to keep you updated on that. Any questions for us?
I do. Madam Chair, with the immunizations, and our students are the ones that suffer because what their parents have not done, can we emphasize what the role of the parent is and the repercussions of them not having their child? Because at one point, we have suspended kids for not having their shots.
Right. And again, by state law, we have to do that if they have not.
So is the parent held in truant, you know what I'm saying? Would there,
We
what
partner
kind
with,
of repercussions for the parents?
Right. I mean, hopefully, we can get students in before they would even be considered truant. Again, we partner with the families all along from that 30-day letter on. One of the things I neglected to mention is that this year the health department is going to partner with our middle schools and high schools as we see the need based on what area has the need. Like when we're issuing the 30-day letter, then we'll look at, is there a need in Farmville? Is there a need in Grifton? Where can we set up a clinic? And they have offered to do the clinic for the older children. Not the younger children, because we don't want to do that without parents being present. Even for the 7th graders, that sometimes they said is quite just challenging. You know, kids get scared of shots. But we try to hold parents, you know, again, informing them, the social workers, others going out and letting them know what the consequences would be early on.
Okay. As long as that's, you know.
Right, and that's why we're enlisting our
I wanna know
community
what the law
partners
is.
to share that message early with parents. That's really important because Dr. Hardy described a funnel, and you know, if all these students, you know, like when we had 300 initially, they're trying to funnel down. It just gets really hard. We did get those numbers decreased, but planning adequately from February on, we should have no problem in getting everyone their immunizations. If we all wait till September 15th, then that's when trouble starts.
And is it at a cost?
It just depends on your insurance. But anyone underinsured or with Medicaid, that would be free. Mr.
I just want to say, great job, and it's a great example of using the data from last year and learning from it and saying, all right, we're going to do something different. We're going to get ahead of this multiple months in advance, and then beautiful pulling those messages together from community groups and public health instead of a bunch of different messages. So, because we all want the same thing. It's fantastic. Great work.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay.
I think so. Okay, and just really briefly, today ends the United Way campaign. We wanted to talk to you about this in the middle of the month before, but from the work session, we had to push it. But so just so you know, today is, and I don't have the final numbers, I wish I did, but today's the end of our United Way campaign. So I want to tell you what a great job that our United Way representatives have done, and just tell you a little bit about the new things that have happened this year. So basically, we had the message that we wanted to strengthen and restore and renew the commitment to education. We do that, and to the students we serve every single day. But if you understand what teachers are doing above and beyond to give also to the United Way, you'd be blown away. So we really challenge them, hey, we all give to our churches, or we give our time, or we give to a neighbor, but what if we, for 1 month, could also, everybody have a collective change effort, and we do that through the United Way. We have 3,600 employees, what a difference that would make. And then this is a video so that you have that in your notes if you want to see some of our teachers, et cetera, featured in the United Way video. We won't do that tonight. But just last year, just to remind you that Pitt County Schools, as educators who are not paid very well, we know that. An education field is not something that is very high paying. We still had, our employees still came in 4th in giving in Pitt County. So we want to commend our teachers for that and what they did, and we are hoping that we also did that again this year. So some heavy hitters up here on the screen, and for Pitt County Schools to be up and in there and in the game and giving just shows you what a heart that we have for our students. And again, there was our, from last year, we always give them a thermometer, et cetera. But we had 81,000 was given last year, so our goal this year was 85,000. Notice too that a lot of this goes into some of our own programs, such as the Student Success Academy. At early grades, 550 students are actually served through that. 60% of our students are enrolled in Imagination Library and receiving free books at home at no charge. And so that's something that's supported by the United Way. And also we have 9 sites that really host the Partnership for Progress. So we're doing lots of things, and the United Way gives to many more of those. But those are the ones that directly affect us. We did get a thank you from the Student Success Academy, so I wanted to share that with you. And really, it just says thank you because we're reaching our goals, or we are reaching our goals because of your generous support, and they thanked us for that, the Student Success Academy. So they really are doing some good work. And again, whenever we ask for funds, we understand that what that comes with. We want everyone to know that this is really a fabulous opportunity to do that collectively. The one thing I wanted to feature today is that we have a new online platform. So before we've had paper forms, this year we had an online platform. If any of you would like to give to our United Way campaign, you could still do that. Here's the web address, uwpcnc.org/PCS. And so we had our staff go through and do payroll and credit or debit card, and we're able to give and feature that. So you're welcome to look through that. As usual, we offer incentives to our staff, and in the way of gift cards or things like that, that some of our United Way representatives at each school and our principals worked with at the school site, and allowing teachers to wear jeans who gave a certain amount or something like that. Just really having some unity there helped. But also, we allow an annual leave day as well, so that's very generous if there's certain criteria met. And we even have a couple of drawings for items that are donated or given to us, or other items that we have, like a Google Chromebook. There's a drawing for that, and a TV as well. So there's lots of incentives to give, but most of us give just for that. We also had newsletters featuring the providers this year, a constant thermometer. So we just wanted to thank everyone for giving to the United Way campaign, and I hope to come next month and tell you what our final one was. But again, if you would like to give, it's at the uwpcnc.org/PCS. Should be fairly easy there. Okay. Finally, Beth Ann Trueblood, would you like to come and help with Grow Local? We're going to talk about Grow Local last, but not least. I'm just going to talk a little bit about last year, and also let you know what has gone on with Grow Local, and what Grow Local kind of is, and what's happened. I'm going to let Beth Ann talk too about this year, and just kind of give you some statistics. But Greenville-Pitt County Chamber of Commerce was named the Chamber of the Year, and speaking this year, and we want to congratulate them. And in speaking with them, they had several messages. One was thanking the Board of Education, the Transportation Department, facilities, the teachers, and CTE department, all of those for really coming together and making this a tremendous effort. And they believe that winning the Chamber of Commerce of the Year, that Grow Local was a big piece of winning that as well. So that was very helpful. We have students who had a thank you video. We've talked about the Blue Ribbon Awards and Inspire, and there's that photograph there of that child that was on set at WITN that won the Gold Award there. Just her face and happiness for doing that. And Inspire Magazine featured on the cover and throughout the pages of Grow Local last year. So this is a tremendous effort from our community and from our schools. Another example of how communities come together to make things amazing for our students. But this year, it's March 23rd through 27th, 2020. We have, and I'll let Beth Ann answer any questions, et cetera, but we have 3,500 students this year. Let me say that number again. 3,500 students will be going out to businesses, or businesses will be coming in and will be served through the businesses and the partnerships. That is amazing. 85 plus businesses and experience, and still counting for that. We have 18 middle and high schools this year that will be participating in Grow Local. And we just opened today, or the Chamber of Commerce just opened today. Is it open?
Correct. Yes.
Okay, the volunteer site for Grow Local. So they're calling for volunteers. So if you would like to volunteer, it's Monday through Friday. There's something going on every day, multiple opportunities. Really need parent volunteers, other volunteers, school volunteers, board volunteers to really help with that effort. Anything you wanted to add from the Chamber or anything else?
I just wanted to add that Parents for Public Schools has been a great partner for us, and they help with volunteers as well, and we appreciate their support, and we appreciate you guys' support, because that week is going to be a lot going on, and we're extremely excited to have our students visiting. I think Kate sent out today, and I think we're like at 110 businesses, so we're super excited about that.
Do you have any questions for us about Grow Local?
Did you say there was a link for volunteering?
Yes, if you go to the Greenville Chamber of Commerce website, and I think it's activities, and you drop down and find Grow Local, there will be a link on that, or you can sign up with Parents for Public Schools, because she'll be sending out emails as well. But you feel free to contact me, shoot me an email, and we can, and when you would like to do it, and we can set you up with a time.
Any other questions? Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, that brings us to the end of new business, and we will start with closing comments by Dr. Linker.
Just, I don't know if everyone's noticed in the last 18 months, the public information officer here for Pitt County Schools has really upped the game of what's going on, from every little thing that happens, whether that's Twitter and Facebook and everything else, but just the publications, the awards, obviously. Her relationship with everyone else in the community is huge. Her professionalism just brings so much to the table, and just wanted to say thank you. It's a great job. And she doesn't take credit for any of it, as you saw, but she drives. She's the driving force behind all the stuff that was going on.
Thank you. And Ms. Williams, since I almost skipped you last month, I'm going to lead off with you this month.
You're so generous. I'd like to thank everyone that came tonight to our board meeting. I think we were very informative to a lot of the questions that were asked of us. And that makes a difference. What, people's concerns are when it's based on, what they're asking us to do for them. And that's very important, that we listen and do the very best we can as a board to get things resolved. I also like to congratulate all the athletes that came in tonight. Most of them are seniors and have an amazing future ahead of them. And that's due to the work of our staff members and our teachers, that we provide as much assistance to get these kids to where they need to be with their futures. I'd also like to give a thanks to our board chairperson on your address that you gave. That helped to clarify a lot of things that were going on in our community. So I'd like to commend Betsy for doing that. Other than that, we're sending prayers and, recognizing our social workers. We had a tragedy last week in our system, and they were the first to be deployed to assist, our students and our community for what they needed and what they still need, and we're still providing as our social workers and counselors do throughout Pitt County, and our prayers do go to the families. So I thank everyone again for coming tonight. That's about it.
Okay.
Thank you, Madam Chair. A lot of great things going on in our system, but, dealing with some real issues, some emotional issues over the last week. And I think all I want to say to our community, to those of you sitting here, those of you watching, is that I'll speak for myself, but I think I speak for the rest of the board, that we are your representatives and we are available to you, and our contact information is available. So, when you have questions or concerns about various policies, athletic, academic, whatnot, I encourage you to reach out to us, because I know myself, I enjoy getting to speak with parents and community members. And it truly is the best way to have your concerns and questions brought to us, and also to have the opportunity to have things clarified, as opposed to looking to other, social media for answers or other community members. So my phone is on, my number's on the PCS website, and I believe most other representatives would feel the same way. So we appreciate the opportunity to serve this community. It really is an honor, it's a privilege, and so, let us be there for you and to answer your questions and concerns.
Ms. Cole?
Well, I'm going to second everything that's been said here. Congratulations to all of the athletes, and thank you for Karen and Jennifer for the information about, what to do in case we do have any kind of coronavirus situation. So it's nice to know that our community's prepared for that. And I also want to mention, since we're talking about the tragedy that we had last week, because this was one of the flyers that we had here. So there's a resilience night that they're doing at Sug Bundy for parents and teach you, just the impact of stress, coping skills for both you and your children. And it's Tuesday, March 24th from 6:30 to 8. And I know they would love to have the community members to come out to that event. So that's it for me.
Ms. Doherty?
I also want to extend congratulations for our Public Relations Awards and really commend you on, as Dr. Linker said, upping the game, really setting a new standard of excellence. It's not often that we actually have the opportunity to recognize a reporter who is covering this, who's basically here working. So that's also pretty exciting. And very grateful for our social workers who are there for our families, our students, and our faculty. Very proud of our state champions. Also got some more state champions in the making. The Pitt Pirates robotics team placed very well last weekend in their first competition in the Triangle. And both of the first teams will be competing here in Greenville on the 14th and 15th. So it's a fun thing to go watch and see these kids from all over Pitt County compete. It's ingenious what they do with those balls and those giant robots. It's incredible. Wanted to just comment about open enrollment. We initiated open enrollment largely as a mechanism to give parents choice. And it has been and remains quite popular. It relieves overcrowding by giving parents basically choices of where they can go. It helps with overcrowding in our schools. And I believe parents like choice. Students do as well. So I do believe this amendment that we're making tonight really does strengthen the academic integrity. Going to a high school for 4 straight years is really important. And so parents need to think carefully about what their choice is for their children. And lastly is my deepest condolences to the family of Kayla Plotsky.
Mr. Forrest?
Thank you, Madam Chairman. First of all, I'd like to remind everyone that tomorrow is Election Day. So I'm sure everyone is going to want to do their civic responsibility and make certain that you go and vote. We deserve the leaders that we get because we elect them in and we elect them out. So, and it's nice to see Representative Perrin Jones sitting over there at the end. We thank him for being here this evening as well. I also want to share with the rest of the board my condolences and our condolences to the Plotsky family. And also, I do want to appreciate everything that Pitt County Schools did, Madam Chairman, as far as providing for an appropriate response, I think, that the school system placed and put on social media about bullying and about those situations in general. Also, I do want to thank the entire committee, the policy committee, on working on the 365-day rule transfers within our schools. Policy committee work is a thankless job, and I do thank those individuals that participated in that, and I do think that we have a potential policy that can better reflect what we want to do here in Pitt County Schools as far as fairness is concerned. Also, last but not least, I want to thank Ms. Johnson for mentioning the coronavirus and also the Grow Local partnership that we have with Career Technical Education. We need to continue to make sure that we're an educational agency. We not only educate students, hopefully we educate our entire community in reflecting upon those things that are could be very serious consequences. That is that of the coronavirus and those things we need to do to make sure that it's not a serious problem, and also the tremendous opportunity students have with Career Technical Education.
Thank you. Ms. Everett?
Okay, a lot of good recognitions tonight, especially with the wrestling and swimming champions. I would like to say a very special thank you to all our social workers. I know I work with social workers quite frequently, and they go above and beyond and work behind the scenes and do things you might not ever realize for our children. Trying to ensure that they're not homeless, going and making wellness checks, doing backpack buddies for food, trying to navigate if they need an application for free lunch, checking on attendance, just anything that they can do to help address the whole child. And of course, as y'all know, they're very critical in crisis response, and a lot of them have mental health background, and they are very valued in regards to that. I wanted to say a special thank you to Miss Norma Warren for her public expression tonight. I know she works big with Jackie Robinson baseball. My son has played on that team, and it was one of the most beneficial, I think, opportunities and experiences he had. It's much more than just athletics with Jackie Robinson. A lot of those mentors and athlete coaches are actually Pitt County Schools employees, and they do much more than just athletics. They are great with mentoring. I've seen it firsthand, so thank you for her input. And last but not least, continue to keep Kayla's family in your thoughts and continue to rally around in support of the family, your friends, and the community, because it's been a great loss. Mr. Forbes.
One thing that I would say about Kayla's family, now she's just probably they're receiving a lot of being surrounded by a lot of loved ones, but what's so difficult is later on, weeks down the road, they still need to be shown love and compassion. And I think that's one thing that our social workers and counselors do. They not only handle issues that are at the school, but they extend themselves to the family and help them to be able to locate different agencies that can help them and help them with situations like this. I visited Aiden Elementary, Mr. Lassner. And that phonics program that they have out there, and I think that's a good initiative that they're working through, and they seem to be successful with it. The Grow Local is a strong initiative, and it's involving so many students, and it's something that we really need to stay on top of. And one thing that I would stress that Pitt County Schools can help out at the school level is tell those kids as soon as they get home to their grandparents to wash their hands before they touch their grandparents. Because mine stroll in, and on the way in, I say, go wash your hands, go wash your hands. Because, not only do we think about the health of our students at school, but the health of our families at home, and that will overall help the health of our students at school. So I think we have a lot to be thankful for Pitt County Schools.
Last but not least.
First of all, thanks to everybody that came tonight. I do appreciate input from the public. We can't do our job if we don't know what your concerns are. So thank you, Anna Barrett, for your closing comments to the families out there. Congratulations to those that were here tonight receiving recognition. Just phenomenal athletes in Pitt County, and I'm just really proud to be part of this school system. national school social workers, just social workers in general. As a nurse practitioner, I've learned more about how to do my job through the social workers, to be able to get what my patients need to be able to be discharged. I mean, you just can't do your job in the hospital without a social worker. And just kudos to the things, they're miracle workers, the things that they can do. It's just amazing to me. So we should honor them more than just a week or a month. As a nurse, immunizations are very important to me. I think it's really important that you get them, and I understand how it slips past you. So I'm glad we brought it up tonight to our meeting, and reminding people when you register your children for kindergarten, look at all the things that go along there, as well as 7th grade and the new rule with the high school seniors. I would like to say congratulations to Elmhurst Elementary. Tracy and I went to the elementary Battle of the Books this past weekend, and it was phenomenal. Those kids are smart. And Elmhurst won the Battle of the Books, so congratulations to them. In regards to, I'm always going to pitch for tours with Parents for Public Schools. I think there's a few more left, maybe in the next week or so. And I'm actually going to Aiken-Grifton High School this coming Friday, and I cannot wait. I'm going to go on a tour with a parent that's touring, so I'm very excited and looking forward to seeing what I'm going to see when I get down there to the high school. A plug for Pizza Bingo. I've seen on Facebook there's a lot of schools that are having Pizza Bingo coming up for your elementaries. I know Eastern and Elmhurst, I believe, is this Thursday. So, go out and support your schools if you can. You don't have to have a child that attends, but you can go buy some pizza. That helps them out a little bit. And last but not least, volunteer. And we've even given you for the Grow Local. If you just get out there and do things for our schools and meet people. And this way, it's even in the community. So, I encourage you, if you have time, go to the website and sign up. Thanks.
Okay, and Amber Revelstocks, I realized that we did not take your picture when you got your award, and you were the media person, so we have to, if you want to wait around after, we'll get it. Jennifer, can we get a picture of Amber with her award? Thank you. We certainly appreciate the work that you do, and besides doing the things that earned her that award, she is at every single work session and every single board meeting that we have, and so she does a very important job of reporting what goes on in all of our meetings to all of the communities that we serve. So we thank you for that, and I apologize for not getting your picture. Good luck to the boys of Farmville Central and the girls of Farmville Central, whose basketball teams are going to the fourth round of the playoffs. Fourth round, thank you. And the D.H. Conley girls, I think, are still in. So I think all of those games are Tuesday night, so we wish them the very best of luck in those playoff games. And last but not least, I just want to once again emphasize the partnerships that we have here in Pitt County with our elected leaders. And I do see Representative Jones out in the hallway, and I will say that he has been very helpful this week in reaching out and offering assistance and getting Pitt County Schools the resources that we need for making sure that our students' social and emotional needs are met. So I appreciate that partnership. I appreciate the partnerships with the businesses and the Chamber of Commerce with Grow Local, and making sure that our students get experiences that they may not otherwise get. And I appreciate the partnerships with our community members that reach out to us, and they tell us when they agree with us and when they disagree with us. And the ladies that came this evening, I certainly appreciate their voice and the message that they have brought to us. I do think that as a board, we need to continue to talk about equity. It's a difficult thing to tackle, but we need to continue working on it. And I think their returning meeting after meeting is certainly good motivation for us to continue having those discussions as well. So as I say it at the end of every board meeting, it's my new tagline. We don't do just one thing well in Pitt County, we do so many, and I couldn't ask for a better board to serve with than all of you. So thank you. May I have a motion to close our meeting?
Close our meeting. Second.
I have a motion by Anna Barrett and a second by Benji. All in favor, please raise your right hand.
I don't do it nearly.
We are now adjourned.